Hello friends, and welcome to a new segment on Penumbra Insights, where we're going to have a magical cocktail or tea hour. Today I'm choosing tea. You feel free to grab your drinks and, follow along. Today we're going to be talking about the All-Father of the Aesir, Odin. I started working with Odin in 2021. I was on the heels of being gang stalked for the first time. Another story for another day. And I was also in the tail end of a very toxic relationship dynamic and a work environment that was very hostile. I was working in a school at the time, so it was a lot of studying in general. I was working very closely with the Infernal at that time, and Azazel had came forth and revealed to me that he was one of my guardian angels. And naturally, when a new guide reveals themselves to you in a, strong manner such as that, you're going to be excited to work with them, as was I. However, something very interesting happened, and when I tried to work more with Azazel, I was actually referred to the spirits of my ancestral pantheons first, as they had certain lessons for me that were going to be imperative for me to learn before I tried to, cross the void and, traverse that. That's neither here nor there. So basically, I was very off-put to be referred to somebody else when you just step forward to work with me. But, nevertheless, I'm going to be obedient and do it because there's valuable lessons to be learned. So then the obsession began. So anyone who does research into Odin on a deeper level will come across the idea that he stalks his people. Very much so. This is more prominent when dealing with Odin men, but Odin's women do experience this as well, and it's to a less fearsome degree than the men. And I think that's just because, Odin has a soft spot for his women. It began with the nagging feeling of being watched as I was studying or walking home at night with nobody being there. A very palpable, primal sort of presence, wildness that was just lurking in the room. And then, occasionally I would get sent the occasional raven or wolf motif just to kind of, put a little stamp on it and signify he was there. But what they don't necessarily talk about is that the obsession tends to be mutual. Before I spoke that, I didn't really particularly study the Norse pantheon before working with Odin. As soon as he revealed himself into my life, that obsession began. I was studying very deeply into the Eddas and all of the legends. And one thing that I found was I was actually quite fascinated with Odin himself as a figure, more so than any of the other Aesir or Vanir or any of them, honestly. And that was because Odin is a god of many dualities, a god of many possibilities and faces, from being the masked one to being the hanged one to being the All-Father, the Yule Father. But there was one specific aspect of Odin that was really calling to me and revealing itself to be the aspect of him that I would be working with during our time together. And that was Odin as the Ordeal master. So, from the sacrifice of his own eye to hanging himself on Yggdrasil, to, you know, everything about him honestly was very much so something that I resonated with, as I was a person that would pursue knowledge at the cost of whatever. Understanding for the sake of understanding. You could call it self-destructive knowledge, perhaps. So yeah, I was, like I said, ready for a change, and it was by any means necessary at the point I was at. So, you know, I began to prepare for an ordeal, thinking that was going to be the experience that I was going through. So this looked like me, like I said, studying very intensely with both Odin and Azazel. Azazel presiding over the mental aspect of sharpening my mind and my mental prowess, while Odin was walking me through all of these, you know, shamanic and traveling skills as far as the astral goes. Actually, Odin was also my first experience in possession as well. They say that anyone who looks more into like Nordic shamanism and all of that would know that the spirits do come down and they do take hosts. They take horses, as people might call them in different traditions. But so yes, Odin was my first experience with possession. Well, waking possession and sober life. I was completely sober, and during a spiritual bath, he came down and took over. Well, we kind of shared. It was an interesting experience, and it was from there that I was revealed what our work together was going to look like. So there was going to be, you know, that psychic aspect of it that I would uphold, and there was also a physical aspect to working with Odin that I would uphold, as you know, he's a god of warriors, and I had to learn to become a warrior as well. So I was given the task of signing up for martial arts, did so, and I was given a time frame of a year that I would have to dedicate myself to that and to him. And so I did. And what ensued was indeed an ordeal. I ended up losing everything, losing my father, you know, losing everything twice, I'll add. I lost everything when I moved from my ex's house that he, you know, set up. And then I ended up losing everything again when I moved from a very interesting roommate experience. And I was also in school at this time as well, so I was learning more healing aspects. I don't know. To say that Odin is a really tough teacher, but in the best way that I can put it is, it's like having a injury that healed wrong, so you have to break it in order for it to heal again in the correct manner. That's working with Odin in a nutshell. One thing that I will say that I did learn very deeply from working with Odin, though, is that reading people and learning how to manipulate, not necessarily manipulate is a strong word, but to harness the energy and to use it in order to have the image of you in the moment that you want to be portrayed to be portrayed. Odin taught me the value of appearing, of being a wolf in sheep's clothing. To play a fool, to catch a fool. Working with him is definitely going to be like a crash course in the 48 laws of power and the art of war. The valuable skills that are necessary if you have any sort of plans to step into a leadership position in any capacity. Yeah. So from there, after having that possession experience, I sought out the advice of an elder in the Nordic shamanism community, because I always like to get confirmation of from outside sources of things that are going on in my life. So got a blind reading and confirmed indeed that Odin was, around me at the time. And she had said to me that a lot of the reason that he was looking was because he had seen some form of power in me. Anyone who reads the myths can clearly see that Odin is a power scout, if you want to say that. But that working with him at this point would be like working with a vampire, in the sense that I would have to invite him in if we wanted to work together in like a deeper capacity. But I was also given the warning that working with Odin can be very non-consensual in the ways that he uses you. As we worked together more deeply, as I did end up, accepting the terms, that it was definitely true. A lot of the ways that I was used by this entity was non-consensual, but through these mini ordeals that I had been put through, I learned through each one that you will be equipped with the skills necessary, with the foundation necessary to empower yourself and grow. You'll be able to learn through the experience and come out more balanced and more ready for the next task afterwards. That's just a little bit of what I wanted to talk to about Odin. I'm going to be posting a blog post as well to talk a little bit more in depth about the processes that we went through and all of that. And you guys have a great rest of your day.